As I was saying recently, I have loads and loads of things that I want to put out because if I just threw these files away, I don't want to miss the chance of giving somebody that example, because that might be the example that makes it click for them. So I'm going to speed round through a lot of these game of names, and that way I can get them off of my storage but still give you the examples that they give. I do apologize for any wind or any interference, but it's a beautiful day, so I wanted to do this outside. And there also might be sounds of traffic and things like that, but hey, it's the world we live in. No use in hiding anything. Let's just be real. So the first person I have on the list is Kai Green. Now, not only does his name resonate with what he's doing, kinetic active identity, generated or grouped, referencing the expression upon itself as a notion of expression, and he's a huge bodybuilder. Now, along with that, when his name resonates with the way the world is changing, this guy also kinetic activates the idea of green, and he's going to a plant-based diet, and he's expressing it outward to the world. Kai Green. This is not just a coincidence. This is how the world is playing out for all of us, and I'm seeing it from the mind of creation. Do you see this? That's why I said I don't want to leave any of these people out. So, I'll go to the next. Staying along the lines of athletes, how about Michael Phelps? Everybody knows who Michael Phelps is. He's the swimming guy from the Olympics. So Michael, manifested identity, constant to itself, here, active, expressing ling, or the active base as it lies. Fred, form, reference, expressing dia. Phelps, potential or person, placement, here, expressing ling, placement, subjected. He's a swimmer. Do you see how this makes complete sense? Because he's Michael, M-I, manifested identity, constant to itself, here, active, expressing ling. Fred is the form reference expressing dia. And then Phelps is the placement here, expressing as it lies, potential or placement here, subjecting. So he's swimming back and forth in a pool. See how that is? And then his birthday being June, which is 6, the form, force, or familiar, 30, it's literally in 3D. And then 1985 is subject here expressing. So it's all adding up to a person who is known for swimming, and it resonates with his name. So many people can be a swimmer, but he lived his name to a high vibration. It doesn't mean he does everything perfect. It doesn't mean any of these people are perfect or evil. It's just what they're doing in the world, the way they resonate. And the way we become conscious of it is seeing what's harming others and stop just resonating with our name. We came down here to work through our demons, which is the word named backwards with an O instead of an A. But O is A-E, your active expression. You're here to exercise your demons on resonations with what you were named. Before I finish with Michael Phelps, notice that his full name is Michael Fred Phelps II, which is 2 I's. So if you just take I, so the I upon itself resonates even stronger with a person who's going to make an identity for himself by doing something through himself, as something like a swimmer. Do you see how this really is? Isn't that awesome? I know it is, but I hope you're starting to see it. Now we have a famous gymnast who, as a child, I used to try to mimic when I watched it on the Olympics, because I was a kid and I liked tumbling. So anyway, Mary Lou Retton. If you manifested airy, active base ongoing unit, and you return or retain, when you land in a good position in gymnastics, you always want to land just right, to return, to return, or to retain. So it's a tense of those words. Do you see what I'm saying? So she does manifested active reference vitally identified, the active base or the as it lie ongoing unit, to reference expression plus in 4D ongoing notion. So she's a gymnast, not a figure skater. She's doing manifested airy as it lies ongoing unit. So see how she's not on anything. She's not skating. She's not swimming. She's a manifested active reference vitally identified as it lies ongoing unit. Referencing expression plus in place 4D ongoing notion. That's a gymnast. And her birthday being January 24th, 1968, you would just say January is 1, action, or the active. 24 is center, or based dia. And then 1968 is subjecting form here. Do you see how that is? She's not in a rink. I mean, yes, they have boundaries, but at the same time, she's manifesting airy as it lies ongoing unit to reference expressed in place upon itself ongoing notion. So herself and her active base ongoing unit. I mean, I'm not trying to simplify people and talk about them like they're just, machines, but of course they're not. We're amazing, beyond amazing bodies of God being manifest, and we're living this. And every single one of us is doing exactly what our name calls out to be. It just happens to correspond with other stuff in the world that we can change. And when we change that, everyone will change. It just takes time to understand this and actually apply yourself to becoming better together instead of just doing what you like and getting what you want, because that's not what you're here for. Now, I do apologize if I sound funny saying any of these names. The next person is another gymnast from 1980 who won gold medals, and his name is Alexander Nikolaevich Dityatin, maybe. Active as it lies, expressing kinetic subject, active notion to and from the reference. It's not just expressed reference, it's to or from the reference. ALEKSANDR. Just no E, just R. So it's literally the active as it lies, expressing kinetic subject, active notion to and from or dia, the reference. And then his middle name being the notion identified kinetic, ongoing, as it lie, actively expressing, vital identified, constant to itself here. And then dia identified plus vitally identified, active plus identified notion. Do you see how all that stuff truly goes around with a person who won gold medals for gymnastics because they bent themselves all around? Now, I suggest if you didn't get it to go back and just follow what I said about why I use those letters, and they are shapes. And this person did exactly those things. His birthday being August, here, 7th, generated and grouped, 1957, which is expressing generated and grouped. So he's a gymnast. How the other guy had things that were more along the lines of being in that space upon himself, he is in that place expressing, generating, and grouping, which is a gymnast. See how awesome these things really are? How about the ever so famous, worldwide known fight promoter Don King, Donald King, who resonated strongly with Don. And when you think about the word Don, they call people in mobs and groups like that the Don, because they get things done, always. They're the one who gets things done. They're not just expressing it, they get it all done. Don, the Don. So Don King, what's going to happen? To or from or dia, the ongoing notion. And if you say his full name, you could say dia or to and from, ongoing notion, active as it lies, or the active base, dia, to or from. So it's coming from him to talk about what's coming to or from, kinetic or actively active, identified notion generated and grouped. So he's promoting what's coming. Don King. His birthday is August, which is 8 here, 20, which is T, 2, any, or plus, 1931, which is the subject, constant to itself, action or active. And he's literally the person who, here, to any, subjects the constant action. And he's a fight promoter, Don King. Okay, staying along the lines of athletes and Olympians, we have Oksana Bayul. Now, like I said with some of the other people, I apologize if I mess up their name because I don't have the accent, but I'll try my best. We have Oksana. Now think of being on the ice. It's Oksana. O-K-S-A-N-A. Ongoing kinetic subject, active notion, action. And when you would say the rink, like the big circle that you're skating on, it literally is a circle. Oksana. Ongoing kinetic subject, active notion, action. And then you have her middle name is Serhiyivna. So Serhiyivna. So it's subject expressed reference or active here. Here identified, vitally identified vitally, notion, action. So she herself is going to be vitally identified with her identified vitality of her notion of action, which is on the ice, Oksana. And then Bayul, base active identity, unit as it lies. So see, that's going to be about her name, and what she's doing. So on the ice, she's going to IYIV. identify her vital identity by identifying her vital notion of action, which is Oksana, on the ice. And Bayul, she's going to be known by all for being somebody who subjects herself on the ice. Just like that, this is every person. When we die, our individual sees this about ourselves. But this resonates with everyone and everything throughout your life, and you'll see where you went wrong. I guarantee it. There is no doubt. And someday, this will prepare you for something you may not have ever thought you'd have to be ready for, but you do move on. And it's a great thing. So be ready for it. But be ready for it in a good way so you can make it so much better than this. Because you can, and we can start it now in this physical world, in this lifetime, before the other ones. Because you're going to keep going. So you might as well make it good. Another famous figure skater is Katarina Witt with a W. If you know what kata is in karate, it's basically the movement of your body sort of like in a fighting dance form. I'm not trying to say that, but you're moving the energy around your body in a slow, concentrated way. Katarina, it's a kata in a ring, or a kata in a rink. She literally has R-I-N-A. Instead of R-I-N-K, like a rink, it's R-I-N-A, her action. So it's kinetic, active, plus active reference, identified notion, action. And then her last name being Witt with a W, it's to be witnessed by other people, and for herself to be plural identified plus plus, or T upon itself in place. 4D is T and T is 20 and 20 is 40. So 4D is her doing a kata in the arena. See how that is? And then her birthday is December 3rd, 1965. So that's L, the active base, or the as it lie, constant to itself, or the concept, subjecting form express. And that's a figure skater all the way when you're Katarina Witt, a kata in the rink being witnessed, figure skater. It's so crazy, but it's right there. It's right there for everyone to see. And I'm the only one who can show it because I'm the only one who saw us outside of the human form. It has nothing to do with people. It has nothing to do with bodies. And I know that's hard for you to swallow, and you think some dude is making shit up. And I'm not. I know so much more than I can say as a person to other people because they just can't handle it. Their minds can't handle it. Anyway, we'll move on. Now we have an even more interesting athlete, Gregory Efthymios Louganis. If I pronounce it a little wrong, I'm sorry, but Efthymios is kind of a unique name. His birthday is January 29th, 1960. Like I've said with other Gregs, it means to generate, reference, express, generate. And if it's Gregory, it's generate, reference, express, generate, in group, ongoing, reference, vitally identified. So it's something that creates within itself. Gria, G-R-E, Gree, is like Cree, but it's coming to and from because C plus D, which is 3 plus 4, is 7, which is G. See the shape of it is the middle spot of a C. It's coming to and from a C, generated, G. So generated and grouped, reference expressing generation, ongoing reference vitally identified, Efthymios, expressed form force or familiar, plus here identified manifestation, identified ongoing subject. With his first name, generate reference expressed generate ongoing reference vitally identified, Efthymios, expressed form force or familiar, plus here identified manifested identified ongoing subject, then his last name Louganis, as it lies or the active base, ongoing unit, generated action, notion, identified subject. He was a diver off of diving boards and platforms. It's all right upon itself. So at the same time, he likes his own sex. He's a diver. He doesn't dive out and swim. He doesn't skate around. He doesn't do any laps. He's literally a person who dives straight down into Gregory, generated and grouped reference, expressed, generated and grouped, ongoing reference, vitally identified. And then with Efthymios being his middle name, expressed form plus here identified manifestation, identified ongoing subject. So it's his expressed form plus the here identity manifested identified ongoing subject. So it's like in this place. And there's action happening there as it lies, ongoing unit, generated action, notion, identified subject. He's a diver. And then his birthday being January, which is 1, action, 29, Now, like I've said before, 26 is Z, 27 is question mark, 28 is space, 29 is occupied space, and then we go on to 30. But his birthday is 29, so it's occupied space. It's A. Activation, 29, based identified, or filling in space. And then 60 is form, force, or familiar, ongoing. See how these are all associated and resonate with somebody who dives. So he jumps from a really high platform and he jumps downward, straight down, because he generates and groups his reference expressed generated, expressing his form plus the here identified manifested identity ongoing unit subject. And then Luganus is literally the as it lies ongoing unit generated in an active notion identifying subject. So he was a well-known diver and he was gay. Nothing wrong with any of it. It's just see how they're resonating with their names being active, in space, in occupied space, form, force, or familiar, ongoing. A diver. I hope you see this because these are some of the more difficult people, but I know that I'm explaining them well. It just matters on if you're paying attention and if you're picking it up, because this is true. Whether you get it or not, or think that, I'm saying something that doesn't make sense. If you listen, it does make sense. I can't make you concentrate, but I'm putting it out there with all the love I've got. Since I've been doing athletes and Olympians, let's just look at the word Olympic. Ongoing, the big circle, as it lies, vitally identified, manifested potential, identified constant to itself, or identified unseen concept. Olympic. Do you see how that makes more sense than it actually does just with the word by knowing what letters mean? Ongoing, as it lies, vitally identified, manifested potential, identified unseen concept. You go there to show how good you are at your vitally identified manifested potential, identified constant to yourself, but unseen concept to all else, until you show them how good you are in the Olympics. See? It's right there. Now, this may be somebody that most people don't hear, but it's an important name to break down because it'll show you that the names and the words and the letters are definitely alive. It's James McDonald Vickery. Now, if you know who that is, it's the guy who started all the subliminal messaging advertising. James, the junction or the intense, active, manifested, expressed subject, manifest, unseen concept or constant to itself, to or from dia, ongoing notion, active as it lies, to and from, vitally identify the unseen constant to itself, active reference, vitally identified. Put it all together and realize that that exactly fits with somebody who developed subliminal messaging. So, April 30th being his birthday, dia 3D, or unseen concept intense, 3-0. So C is ongoing intense because it's 30. 1915 is subjecting active expression or subjecting ongoing, or AIAE, actively identifying an active expression. See how this is a subliminal message person who developed the technique of marketing through subliminal messaging, subliminal advertising. James McDonald Vickery. Also, I'm not sure how many people actually know what it means to live vicariously through somebody, and it means to substitute yourself for what they did. You live through their experiences and through what they do vicariously. So if a person named James, the junction of ams, intense, am expressed to subjects, Vickery, not vicariously, Vickery. So to the junction am manifest expressed subject, not vicariously outside from someone else, outside from a vitally identified idea, Vickery. So to bring into tense an active manifested expression subject, Vickery, not vicariously, to you, not through somebody else, through an idea. Do you see? I mean, you have to. If you don't, you're trying not to. And you have to know how much I love you that I keep saying this. And the only reason I go, see what I mean? Is because I'm trying to get us on the same page so we can start doing some real world good things. Not just beating around the bush trying to see who's right or wrong. I know I'm not wrong. Let me put it that way. And I won't be. Because I've been where I said I've been. And it's not a joke. I will never stop saying it because it's the truth. And I know how important it is that we have more people who aren't afraid to speak the truth. And yes, I'm an enlightened being. Sorry. If you're not and you don't like that, I'm sorry. Clean up your life. That's all I can tell you to do. And it's out of love. Golly, gee, can't you see? Well, with all that being done, that'll be it for this episode of Game of Names. And until the next episode, peace and God bless.